So I present to you the Cybertruck. The functionality I'm going to describe is within a space that is less than the most popular pickup truck in the United States.
Elon Musk's been known for shaking things up, whether it's a new tech breakthrough or a tweet that sends the internet into a frenzy. But lately, his signature swagger seems to be losing its shine. The Cybertruck was supposed to be a game changer, a vehicle that redefined the road. Instead, it's quickly becoming a symbol of how even the most ambitious ideas can crash and burn when the execution falls short. For Musk, the Cybertruck was a bold declaration of his vision, but now it's clear that the truck designed to break the mold has broken down instead. What was meant to be an unstoppable force is now stuck at a crossroads, and the road ahead is anything but clear. A national incident. Elon Musk, the tech mogul who's been making headlines for years with his grand ambitions and spacebound dreams, has found himself in a bit of a pickle. And it's not just because of his usual controversial Twitter rants or his rollercoaster of ideas. Nope, this time it's something a bit more down to earth. Specifically, the very vehicle that was supposed to change the future of transportation. The Cybertruck, the 7,000-pound stainless steel beast that was supposed to literally bulletproof its way into the Automotive Hall of Fame, has, well, fallen apart. It was the truck of the future, the kind of machine that looked like it was ripped straight out of a futuristic video game. With panels marketed as indestructible and a body sharper than a chef's knife, the Cybertruck was supposed to be a statement. A big statement. But now? Well, let's just say the only thing it's declaring is how quickly things can unravel when you put too much faith in a shiny exterior and not enough in the engineering behind it. Fast forward to today, and that once coveted piece of futuristic technology is quietly being pulled off the roads across America. Nearly every single one. But why? What happened to the so-called unbreakable vehicle that had its own fan base, practically praying to the Tesla gods for it? Here's the kicker. The panels that were supposed to be invincible are, well, falling off. Yes, you heard that right. At highway speeds, these once untouchable panels are coming loose, held on by nothing but glue. Great, right? The mighty Cybertruck, a symbol of power and futuristic innovation, is now a rolling disaster waiting to happen. But this isn't just a case of the usual Tesla didn't quite deliver story. It's bigger. It's about what happens when a company transitions from being a brand to a belief. A belief so deep that fans treat it like a religion, where everything Tesla does, no matter how ridiculous, is celebrated. But what happens when faith in a brand collides with the harsh reality of, well, physics? The Cybertruck is the perfect example of that painful collision. And trust me, the fallout isn't just about a malfunctioning vehicle, it's about the intersection of consumer trust, hype, and real-world consequences. Let's talk numbers, because if we're being honest, that's what grabs people's attention in the end. March 20th, 2025 was the day the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration dropped a bombshell. A total of 46,996 Cybertrucks manufactured between November 23, 2023 and February 2025 were called back. This wasn't about a little glitch or an engine misfire. This was because a critical piece of the Cybertruck, the can rail trim running along the roof, was literally peeling off mid-drive. It's like the truck had an identity crisis at highway speeds, shedding its very skin while zipping down the road. And this isn't just a cosmetic issue, it's a safety hazard. For those who aren't fluent in engineering lingo, the trim is the part of the Cybertruck that helps shape its iconic, sharp silhouette. And now, it's become a potential projectile on the highway. Why? Because, as it turns out, it was glued on. Yes, you heard that right. The same ultra-hardened, cold-rolled stainless steel that Musk proudly boasts about using on SpaceX's Starship, intended to survive the harshest environments of space, is being held together with adhesive. This isn't just about a broken truck or a manufacturing slip-up. It's about what happens when a product becomes so hyped that it transcends its actual functionality. Tesla has built a following where customers don't just buy cars. They buy into a way of thinking, a belief system that says the future is now. But when that future is held together with glue and shaky engineering, it raises some serious questions. It's easy to see how Tesla became a tech religion. But this is a reminder of what happens when innovation turns into blind faith. And now the cracks in the system are visible. Whether you're a die-hard Tesla fan or a casual observer, the collapse of the Cybertruck is a spectacle that demands attention. If you care about tech, the future of cars, or how massive companies move and shake in the real world, this is a story worth following. Because once you start noticing the flaws in one place, it's hard to ignore the cracks showing up everywhere else too. Imagine a material engineered to withstand the blistering 4,000 degrees Fahrenheit temperatures of re-entry into Earth's atmosphere, designed to survive the violence of cosmic forces, now held together by glue that fails at a mere 75 miles per hour on I-405. Let that sink in for a moment. It's almost hard to believe, but that's exactly what's happening with the Tesla Cybertruck. The exoskeleton, that once vaunted 3mm thick stainless steel with all its shiny promises of toughness, is coming apart. And the response from Tesla: replace the panels. But that's not going to cut it. Estimates for the cost of fixing this disaster are already in the hundreds of millions, and some are projecting that when it's all said and done, Tesla could be looking at a $1 billion repair bill. To put things in perspective, this is a company already struggling. Tesla's stock is down 42% this year alone. That's not just the usual market volatility. This is a sign of something much deeper. To give you an idea of how that feels, last year, the Cybertruck had issues with accelerator pedals sticking to the floor, meaning you could launch from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 2.6 seconds, with no way to stop. Before that, it was windshield wipers that had a mind of their own, turning on when they felt like it. And now, the very core of the truck, the exoskeleton itself, is falling apart. Let's talk about that stainless steel exoskeleton for a second. It's not just any metal, it's corrosion-resistant, tri-ply stainless steel, made with a combination of nickel and chromium, supposedly the holy grail of metallurgy. Musk called it a marvel, like trying to bend the future into a form that was, in his words, almost impossible. And while it's certainly an engineering feat, here's the problem. Nobody really asked, once you bend the future, how do you hold it together? Well, apparently the answer is glue. Yes, glue. When you're dealing with a 7,000-pound slab of futuristic symbolism, something that's supposed to be a technological marvel and an unstoppable force on the highway, the last thing you should rely on to keep it together is adhesive. That's not engineering. That's a gamble. And guess what? The gamble has spectacularly backfired. Tesla is trying to contain the damage, but their response has been less than reassuring. They've acknowledged 151 warranty claims related to the issue, but they're quick to insist that there have been no crashes, injuries, or fatalities. Yet they're recalling 100% of the affected vehicles, even though they estimate that only 1% of the trucks are affected. The math doesn't quite add up here. Why recall all the vehicles if only 1% are a problem? Could it be that Tesla is seriously concerned about what could happen if they don't act quickly enough? And while they're saying the issue is contained, the reality is that it's not just a glitch anymore. This is about a company that's trying to maintain the illusion of being the cutting edge of the future, even as it struggles to keep its most basic promises intact. From a car that was supposed to withstand cosmic forces, to a truck that can't survive a freeway drive without falling apart, this is the kind of brand erosion that doesn't just happen overnight. It's happening in real time, and it's making people question whether the company can handle the weight of its own ambitions. The Cybertruck's global domination dream. The dream of Tesla's Cybertruck taking over the globe is crashing harder than a kangaroo on a windshield. In January 2025, things took a turn for the worse when Greater Manchester, UK, saw its first seizure of a Cybertruck. Why? It lacked a certificate of conformity. Translation: the truck is a safety disaster that doesn't meet even the most basic UK vehicle standards. At a massive 2.2 meters wide and nearly 7,000 pounds, the Cybertruck is so gargantuan that in the UK, you'd need a C1 commercial license to drive it, the same type required to operate a small truck. A regular driver's license is not even close to being sufficient, but size isn't the only problem. The design, with its razor-sharp edges that give the Cybertruck its signature look, doesn't exactly meet UK safety standards either. Specifically, the UK has a 3.2mm rounding rule for vehicle exteriors, what Tesla calls innovative and futuristic. British regulators are calling a pedestrian death trap. In simple terms, hitting someone with those sharp edges, they're not walking away with a bruise. They're walking away with serious cuts, if they walk away at all. And then there's the full-width light bar, a feature that's supposed to enhance the vehicle's aesthetics and visibility, but instead blinds other drivers. Too bright, too low. It's not guiding. It's causing chaos on the roads. While the truck sat at a Tesla shop in Manchester awaiting repairs, things took a darker turn. Vandals targeted the Cybertruck, spray-painting curse words across its sleek, angular panels. It's not the kind of thing you expect for a car that's been marketed as a future icon, but it's a clear sign of growing resentment. And it's not just in the UK that things are going sideways for the Cybertruck. Ireland's narrow, winding roads are already a challenge for compact cars. Now, imagine trying to squeeze a 4-ton steel tank through one of those quaint villages without turning it into a medieval siege. In Europe, the legal limit for vehicles on a standard B license is 3.5 tons. Load up the Cybertruck with gear, or perhaps a full Irish breakfast, and you're over the legal weight limit before you even start the engine. It's a logistical nightmare waiting to happen, one that threatens to turn every trip into a potential accident waiting to unfold. But perhaps the most hostile territory for the Cybertruck is Australia. The country is a left-hand drive world, and the Cybertruck? It's designed for right-hand drive. That mismatch alone is enough to render the vehicle non-compliant. Even worse, the Cybertruck's rigid exoskeleton makes it almost impossible to drive with any sense of safety. Hit a kangaroo, and it's not just a dent you're dealing with. It's a projectile, one that could endanger other motorists. The truck's tough exterior is clearly built for durability, but at what cost? The risk of injury, or worse, to everyone else on the road. Cybertruck's global ambitions are facing serious roadblocks. What was once hailed as the future of vehicles now seems more like a tech experiment that was a little too ahead of its time, whether it's size, safety regulations, or road compatibility. The dream of global domination is starting to look more like a reckless ride. And on top of that, good luck finding a charging station in the outback. You're in the middle of nowhere, and your $100,000 technological marvel suddenly dies on you. In the blink of an eye, your high-tech dream car becomes the world's most expensive camping tent. That's the problem with the Cybertruck. It's a machine built for the future, but the world isn't exactly rolling out the welcome mat for it. China didn't ban the Cybertruck outright, but their stringent pedestrian safety regulations and pickup truck restrictions were enough to make Tesla pull its filings in 2024. In simple terms, Tesla realized that China wasn't about to give their monstrous truck the green light, and that's where the pattern begins to form. What America might tolerate as groundbreaking innovation, the rest of the world sees as reckless and frankly dangerous. The Cybertruck is facing more than just technical challenges. It's barreling into a wall of global rejection. Back in the US, the situation isn't much better. Tesla owners are dealing with more than just the usual frustrations of owning an oversized vehicle. Some of them are seeing their six-figure investments being vandalized with things directly tied to Musk's controversial role in Trump's Department of Government Efficiency. Political firestorms, particularly those involving the Doge meme, have only added fuel to the fire. Allegations that Musk gave a Nazi salute during an inauguration, although denied by his camp, sparked a wave of backlash. The Cybertruck, once seen as a symbol of innovation, quickly morphed into a symbol of division. And Europe? It's an even more hostile territory. In places like New York, the situation has led to arrests as vandals target the trucks. But across the pond, it's a full-blown crisis. Tesla's sales plummeted in Germany by a staggering 59% and fell by 12% in the UK just in January 2025. Protesters gathered outside Tesla showrooms, drawing a direct line between Musk and a broader cultural war. What was supposed to be the car of the future is now a lightning rod for controversy. Caught in the crossfire. Once seen as an embodiment of cutting-edge technology, the Cybertruck's sharp angles oversized frame and bulletproof shell are now being interpreted as signs of excess aggression and American ego. Surveys show that public opinion is deeply divided. Some still view the Cybertruck as a bold leap forward, a brave attempt to disrupt the automotive industry. Others, however, see it as a dystopian tank on wheels, driven by a tech bro arrogance that doesn't play well outside the US. For the owners, it's a different story. They find themselves stuck in the middle, caught between a vision of the future and a reality where their $100,000 investment has become a political symbol. Whether they bought the Cybertruck out of faith in the future of technology, or because they wanted to make a statement, they're now facing the fallout of a cultural divide that they didn't ask for. The truck that was meant to change the world is now struggling to fit in with it. One Texas driver recently shared his experience of being flipped off on the highway, only to find angry notes left on his windshield, telling him to go back to Mars with Elon. In the UK, regulators have dubbed the Cybertruck a giant can opener, a label that stings more than a few egos. Even online, the conversation surrounding the truck has turned toxic. On X, discussions are so heated that some owners have resorted to creating burner accounts just to talk about their trucks without facing public backlash. This isn't just a PR nightmare for Tesla, it's an ideological war being fought through the very vehicle they've made the centerpiece of their future. And the financial fallout? Well, it's brutal. Tesla's stock has plummeted by 42% since January, erasing more than $300 billion in market value. Analysts estimate that the Cybertruck recall alone could cost hundreds of millions, but the deeper wound lies in the brand's damage and the lost sales that will follow. In 2024, Cox Automotive projected 39,000 Cybertrucks sold, yet with 46,000 now recalled, Tesla is pulling back more trucks than it ever likely delivered. It's a logistical and reputational disaster of staggering proportions. With international markets effectively closed off, Tesla is left with the daunting task of recouping its $1 billion+ investment in Cybertruck development from a dwindling American market. The idea of spreading those development costs across a global customer base is no longer feasible. And, as if things couldn't get worse, Tesla has to deal with the distraction of its CEO, Elon Musk. Once a visionary who slept on the factory floor to solve production problems, Musk is now balancing his attention between SpaceX, X, Neuralink, and his political ventures within the Trump administration. The result is a lack of focus on Tesla's immediate challenges, at a time when the company desperately needs it. While Tesla flounders in the face of recalls, image problems, and regulatory hurdles, its competitors are not sitting idly by. Companies like Ford, with its F-150 Lightning, and Rivian's R1T, along with other newcomers from traditional manufacturers, are swiftly capturing market share. These rivals are managing to avoid the regulatory issues and image problems that have been plaguing the Cybertruck, positioning themselves as safer, more reliable alternatives in the electric truck market. Tesla's once unstoppable rise in the electric vehicle world is now facing its toughest test. With global rejection mounting and the company unable to spread its development costs across a wide international market, the future of the Cybertruck looks uncertain at best. And with Musk's attention increasingly divided, Tesla's response may be too little, too late. Institutional investors are losing confidence. Major institutional investors are quietly heading for the exits. Several significant funds have already scaled back their Tesla positions, with some openly citing concerns about Elon Musk's divided attention as one of the driving factors. Alongside this, Tesla's apparent lack of regard for regulatory compliance is starting to raise more eyebrows. While the company's cash reserves are still substantial, they're being stretched thin like never before. The skyrocketing prices of battery minerals and the ongoing supply chain disruptions affecting the entire EV industry are only adding to the pressure. Wall Street is at a crossroads when it comes to Tesla's future. The bulls argue that this is nothing more than a speed bump in Tesla's road to success, just another chaotic chapter in a story that has long been marked by turbulence, yet still somehow thriving in the chaos. On the flip side, the bears are reading this a little differently. They see this as the first real crack in Tesla's once impregnable dominance. But the truth, as always, lies somewhere in the middle. Tesla is still a massive force in the industry, and its innovation engine, along with the unwavering brand loyalty it commands, remains unmatched. However, the Cybertruck fiasco is revealing something deeper. There's a clear tension between Tesla's massive ambition and the reality of its execution. That gap could have repercussions far beyond just one model. So, what's the deal with the Cybertruck? Is it a product that's fatally flawed, or is it simply ahead of its time? The 30 times cold-rolled stainless steel that Tesla is using is no gimmick. It's the same alloy SpaceX relies on for its Starship, chosen specifically for its strength, corrosion resistance, and raw durability. On paper, this sounds like the kind of forward-thinking material choice that should give Tesla the edge, pushing the boundaries of what we know about vehicle construction. But the problem lies in the gap between innovation and practicality. While the material may be future-proof, the design and execution are stumbling. The Cybertruck has attracted a lot of attention, but not all of it is the good kind. What was supposed to be a bold leap forward is starting to look more like a leap off a cliff. Tesla's ambitions are clear: revolutionize the way we think about vehicles and transform transportation. But the road to innovation is littered with challenges. The Cybertruck's design is pushing boundaries, but it's doing so at the cost of practicality and public acceptance. The company's reliance on ambitious materials, like the 30 times stainless steel, is admirable, but it feels disconnected from the realities of market expectations and regulatory demands. And that's where Tesla seems to be struggling. It's not that the Cybertruck is a bad idea, it's just that it may be too much, too soon. The technology and vision behind it could very well change the game, but Tesla needs to figure out how to bridge the gap between cutting-edge innovation and the practical realities of building and selling vehicles. Until that happens, the Cybertruck might be the company's biggest gamble yet. The Cybertruck, with its promise of a bulletproof exoskeleton and unrivaled strength, sounds like a marvel of engineering until you get into the nitty-gritty of how it's actually made. Unlike the lightweight panels of traditional vehicles, the Cybertruck's exoskeleton is the frame itself. In theory, this means better protection and a longer lifespan for the vehicle. But here's where things go sideways. That very strength that gives it its robust appeal also makes it a nightmare to manufacture. Elon Musk himself has admitted that you simply can't stamp this stuff like traditional materials. The sharp, angular design wasn't just created for its futuristic look, it's the only feasible way to shape the incredibly thick steel used in the truck's frame. Joining these panels is another challenge altogether. Welding thick stainless steel isn't exactly a walk in the park, and so Tesla had to get creative, relying on adhesives instead. Here's the catch. Adhesives in a vehicle aren't just there to stick stuff together. They need to withstand years of heat, cold, vibration, and speed. This isn't something you'd usually see in the world of automotive design. Aerospace engineers use adhesives, sure, but they pair them with mechanical fasteners for added security. Tesla, however, chose not to do this fully. Why remains unclear. And now, the result is that the glue that holds the Cybertruck together is, quite literally, coming undone. Tesla's Cybertruck faces its biggest test yet. So, can the Cybertruck be redesigned to meet the stringent standards of international markets? Technically, yes. Tesla could soften those sharp edges, reduce the weight, reposition the light bar, and even switch to a right-hand drive for markets outside the US. All of this is within the realm of possibility. However, that level of redesign would cost a staggering amount, likely well over $1 billion for a comprehensive overhaul. More importantly, though, such changes would strip the Cybertruck of the very qualities that make it unique. A Cybertruck with rounded edges, a lighter frame, and more conventional lighting wouldn't really be the Cybertruck at all. It would simply become another electric pickup truck, blending into a rapidly saturating market. That's the dilemma Tesla faces. In trying to appeal to global standards, they could lose what made the Cybertruck stand out in the first place. And at that point, would it even be worth it? The Cybertruck saga reveals the clash between unrestrained innovation and the strict regulatory frameworks that have shaped automotive safety for decades. This collision is more than just a technical failure. It's a larger commentary on the tension between progress and the systems built to keep it in check. Tesla's iconic angular creation now stands at the center of a global debate, one that isn't just about the truck itself, but about what happens when ambition meets reality. The Cybertruck is more than a car. It's become a symbol. It's an unapologetic representation of American innovation, boldly asserting its place as a technological marvel. But as bold as it is, the Cybertruck has proven to be fragile in ways no one expected. Originally marketed as a futuristic breakthrough, it's now finding itself caught in the gears of bureaucracy. What was once a vision of American exceptionalism has become a battleground of global standards, regulatory obstacles, and social backlash. Tesla finds itself with a truck that's not just struggling with recalls, 46,096 units to be exact, but also facing the reality of a global market that has shut its doors. Regulations from around the world, particularly in Europe and China, have made the Cybertruck more of a liability than an asset. In America, owners are not just experiencing the flaws of their investment, they're also having to endure vandalism and public ridicule. What was once a symbol of cutting-edge technology is now a magnet for controversy. It's hard to ignore that the truck, with its imposing steel exoskeleton and bulletproof design, has become a reflection of what some consider a technological ego trip. Critics argue that, in its attempt to challenge the status quo, the Cybertruck has unintentionally opened a Pandora's box of public disdain. Tesla, however, is standing at a crucial crossroads. The company faces several choices, each with its own set of risks. One option is to double down on the American market and make minimal changes to address the recall requirements. This would keep Cybertruck's identity intact, but limit its global appeal. Tesla could, of course, go the route of a billion-dollar redesign to create a version that complies with international regulations, but doing so could drastically alter the truck's essence, turning it into just another electric pickup, stripped of the audacity that made it stand out in the first place. The final, less dramatic option would be to gradually phase out the Cybertruck project altogether, marking it as a bold, albeit flawed, experiment. What's undeniable is that the Cybertruck has sparked a conversation far beyond the realms of automotive design. It's challenging the very notion of what vehicles should look like, how they should perform, and who gets to decide those rules. The real value in the Cybertruck story lies not in the truck itself, but in the larger debate it represents. The tension between innovation and the systems meant to contain it. It forces us to question the assumptions we've held about technology, regulation, and even American culture. This isn't just about a truck failing to meet expectations. It's about the very principles that guide technological advancement and the consequences when that progress is rushed. As we continue to watch the unfolding of this saga, it's clear that the future doesn't arrive fully formed. Sometimes it's engineered and tested. Sometimes it even falls apart before our eyes. The Cybertruck was meant to be the future, but what we're seeing now is a reminder that the road to progress isn't always straight. Tesla's story isn't over, not by a long shot. In fact, it's only shifting gears. The questions raised by the Cybertruck will ripple through industries far beyond the automotive world, touching everything from design to regulation, manufacturing, and global economies. For those who can see past the headlines, the real value lies not just in understanding what happened, but in recognizing the deeper shifts taking place and what might be coming next. So, if you're still here, you're not just watching from the sidelines. You're already part of the conversation. And trust me, this is just the beginning.